I'm 73 years old. I say that number out loud sometimes in the quiet of my kitchen, just to see if it sounds real. It doesn't feel real. Inside, I still feel like the man I was at 30. I still feel the same sharp edges, the same need to be right, the same pride. But then I look at my hands, and the skin is thin like paper. I try to get up from this chair, and my knees pop, and I remember, I don't have time anymore. There is a silence in this house that is very heavy. It's not a peaceful silence. It's the kind of silence that presses against your ears. It's the sound of things that were never said. I want to tell you about the poison. That's what it was. For 40 years, I told myself it was principle. I told myself it was justice. I told myself I was the one standing on the moral high ground, looking down. But it wasn't principle. It was poison. And I drank a drop of it every single morning for 4 decades, thinking the other person would die. But he didn't die from it. I did. I'm the one who rotted from the inside out. I spent 40 years holding a grudge against my own brother. His name was Arthur. We were close when we were boys. You know how brothers are. We fought, we scrapped, we competed over everything from who could run the fastest to who could eat the most corn at dinner. But we were on the same team. If anyone came at me, Arthur was there. If anyone looked at him wrong, I was there. We had a code. The break happened in 1983. It seems so stupid now. It seems laughable. If you were to ask me today, right this second, to explain exactly why I cut him out of my life, I would have to search for the words. It was about money. It's almost always about money, isn't it? Or money mixed with pride, which is a dangerous cocktail. He asked for a loan. He had a business idea, something with auto parts. He was always the dreamer, Arthur. I was the steady one. I was the one who saved, the one who punched the clock, the one who checked the locks on the doors at night. He asked me for $5,000. In 1983, that was a lot of money. It was my savings. It was the down payment for a better life. I gave it to him. I gave it to him because he was my brother. But I gave it to him with a lecture. I told him, "This is it. You have to pay me back in 6 months. I need this." He promised. He looked me in the eye, hand over his heart, and he promised. 6 months came and went. The business didn't work. The money was gone. When I asked him about it, he got defensive. He was embarrassed, I know that now. Shame makes men act like cornered animals. He snapped at me. He said I was greedy. He said I didn't support him. He said I cared more about the cash than I did about his blood. That was the spark. But the fire came from what I said next. I said things to him that you can't unsay. I attacked his character. I attacked his life. I called him a failure. I told him he was dead to me until he put that money in my hand. I walked out of his house. I slammed the door so hard the glass rattled. I remember that sound. It was a satisfying sound. It sounded like a gavel coming down. Judgment delivered. I was right, he was wrong. He owed me. He broke his word. I was the victim here. I went home and I waited. I waited for the apology. I waited for the check. I waited for him to come crawling back, admitting that I was the superior man, the better brother. I waited 40 years. That's the thing about a grudge. You think you're punishing the other person. You think by withholding your presence, your love, your voice, you are teaching them a lesson. You imagine them suffering in your absence. You imagine them waking up every day thinking, I wish I hadn't wronged him. I miss him so much. But that's not what happens. Life happens. The first year was hard. I missed him, but I had my pride to keep me warm. Every time I thought about picking up the phone, I remembered the money. I remembered the disrespect, and I put the phone down. I told myself, no, he has to make the first move. If I call him, I lose. If I call him, I'm saying it's okay to steal from me. Then the years started to blur. 5 years, 10 years. We missed everything. I didn't go to his son's wedding. I heard about it. My cousin called me, asked if I was coming. I said, not unless he pays me. I felt righteous saying it. I felt like a man of principle. So I sat at home that Saturday watching television, eating a sandwich, while my family celebrated a marriage 30 miles away. I told myself I was fine. I told myself they didn't deserve me. He didn't come to my daughter's graduation. Why would he? I hadn't spoken to him in a decade. My daughter asked about him. She remembered Uncle Arthur from when she was tiny. She asked, "Is Uncle Arthur coming?" I told her, "No, honey. Arthur isn't part of our family anymore." Do you know how much damage that does? To teach a child that family is conditional, that love is a contract that can be voided over a debt. I taught her that people are disposable. I didn't mean to, but I did. I showed her that being right is more important than being present. Life went on. It has a way of filling in the holes you dig. You get busy, you have work, you have bills, you have your own health scares. The silence between us solidified. It became concrete. It wasn't an active fight anymore. It was just the way the world was. The sky is blue, the grass is green, and I don't talk to Arthur. I constructed a narrative in my head. In my story, I was the hero who had been wronged. I polished that story. I told it to my friends over beers. I told it to my wife until she got sick of hearing it. It's the principle, I'd say. It's the principle of the thing. I wasted so much energy rehearsing arguments that never happened. I would be driving to work, and I'd have these imaginary conversations with him. I'd list all the ways he failed me. I'd imagine him trying to apologize and me shooting him down with cold logic. I won every one of those imaginary fights. I felt powerful in the car. But I was alone in the car. 30 years in, I saw him at the grocery store. We were both old men by then. I was in the produce aisle looking at apples. I looked up, and there he was. He looked just like our father. He had gray hair, a slight limp. He was looking at the bananas. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. For a second, just a split second, I almost said his name. I almost said, "Artie." But then the old voice came up, the poison. "He still hasn't paid you. He never apologized. He walked away." So I turned my cart around and walked to the other side of the store. I hid in the cereal aisle until I was sure he was gone. I drove home with shaking hands. I told myself I was strong for not engaging. I told myself I held the line. I didn't hold the line. I ran away. I ran away from the only person on earth who remembered the sound of our mother's voice. I ran away from the only person who knew what it was like to grow up in that small house on Cedar Street. The turning point came 3 months ago.
I got a phone call at 6 a.m. When the phone rings at 6 a.m., you know. You know the world has changed before you even pick it up. It was his son, the one whose wedding I missed. He was crying. He said, "Uncle, Dad had a stroke last night. It's bad. You need to come." I froze. All the anger, all the 40 years of rehearsed speeches, all the principles, they just evaporated. They didn't matter. They were dust. The $5,000? It felt like a joke, a sick, cruel joke. I would have paid $50,000 right then just to hear him yell at me. I drove to the hospital. I drove faster than I should have. I kept thinking, I'll fix it. I'll get there and I'll grab his hand and I'll say it's okay. We'll have time. We're old, but we're not dead yet. We can fix this. I got to the room. He was hooked up to machines. The noise, the beeping. It was so rhythmic, so indifferent. He was unconscious. He looked so small. That's what shocks you. When you're angry at someone, they become a monster in your mind. They take up so much space. But lying there, he was just a frail old man with thin hair and dry lips. I sat in the chair next to the bed. I took his hand. It was cold. I sat there for 6 hours. I talked to him. I told him I was sorry. I told him the money didn't matter. I told him I missed him. I told him about my grandkids. I told him about the time I fell off the roof. I tried to cram 40 years of life into 6 hours of whispering. I don't know if he heard me. The doctors said his brain activity was minimal. They said he probably didn't feel anything. He died at 4:15 p.m. He never opened his eyes. He never squeezed my hand. The last time he looked at me, 40 years ago, was in anger. And that was it. That was the end of the book. I stood there in the parking lot of the hospital, and I looked at the sky, and I felt like screaming. But I didn't scream. I just felt empty. I had won. Do you understand? I had won the argument. I never gave in. I never called first. I held my ground until the very end.
And my prize was a funeral where I stood in the back feeling like a stranger. My prize was a lifetime of memories that never happened. My prize was realizing that I loved my pride more than I loved my brother. And now, with no brother left, my pride is just a heavy stone around my neck. I'm talking to you now because I know there is someone listening to this who is holding a stone. Maybe you haven't spoken to your father in 5 years. Maybe you're not talking to your sister because of something she said at Christmas. Maybe you're angry at a friend because they didn't invite you somewhere. Maybe you feel justified. Maybe you are right. Maybe they really did wrong you. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter. Being right is the most expensive thing in the world. The cost is your happiness. The cost is time. And let me tell you, at 73, time is the only currency that has any value. You think you have time to fix it later. You think, I'll wait until they apologize, then we can move on. But you don't know when the clock stops. You don't know when the phone will ring at 6 a.m. The anger you feel? It's not protecting you, it's isolating you. It's building a wall that eventually becomes a tomb. You sit inside that wall, secure in your rightness, while the people you love live and die on the outside. If I could go back to 1983, I would tear up that check. I would tell him, it's just money, Artie.
Forget it. I would hug him. We would have had Sunday dinners. We would have watched our kids grow up together. We would have grown old on the same porch. I traded all of that for $5,000 and an ego boost. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Pick up the phone. Whatever the fight is, drop it. It's heavy and you're tired of carrying it. I know you are. Put it down. Make the call. Say, I'm still mad, but I miss you more than I'm mad.
I sit here in my kitchen and the coffee is cold. The house is quiet. I look at the phone on the wall. I can call anyone I want, but I can't call him. Don't wait until you're sitting in this chair. Don't wait until the silence is the only thing talking back to you. Go make the call.